G'day everyone, in this video I'm just going to be looking at the modulus function and how to solve, I'll start with simple equations for the modulus function. So let's have a look at it, the mod function and simple equations. So basically, what is the modulus function? The modulus function, all it does is make whatever inside it positive. So, so negative 3 will become 3, positive 3 will become 3. So everything just becomes positive. And so basically what the modulus function does is one of two things. If x is positive, so if x is greater or equal to 0, what does it do to it? If it's greater or equal to this 3 here, it does nothing to it. So it's equal to just x if x is greater or equal to 0. So it does that. If x is negative, so if x is less than 0, then what does it do to it? It multiplies it by negative 1. So negative x. So that is the definition, if you like, of the modulus function. So always think of it in those two terms. It does one of two things. You've got to consider whether it's positive or negative. And in most of the sort of modulus questions you need to look at, well, what's happening here? What would happen if the stuff inside the modulus line was positive? What would happen if it was negative? And from there you can start to figure out something. So the other sort of quasi-definition of the modulus of x is the modulus, the other way to write it is the square root of x squared. So if you square something and take the square root, then, well, strictly speaking, you get two results, positive and minus, but we're talking about the positive result of that. And so that's the other quasi-definition. I don't really like that one, to be totally fair. But let's just get straight into... I just can't remember how to clear the screen. Control delete, that's right. So let's just have a look at some examples. So let's just have a look at solving this equation. So x minus 1 equals 4. There's a couple of ways to do it. Some people solve these in different ways. I'll show you one or two because I think it's just important understanding how it works. There's probably, to be honest, 3 ways to solve this. And so let's just have a look at it. We just said let's have a look, what happens if the stuff inside the modulus sign, in other words x minus 1, what happens if it's greater or equal to 0? Okay, so let's just look at this situation. Now, if this is positive, what does the modulus sign do? It does nothing. In other words, it doesn't change anything. So we just remove the modulus sign and we're just left with x minus 1 equals 4. So therefore we get x equals 5. And there's my answer. Just need to always check that it works out with this, because we've said if x minus 1 is greater or equal to 0, in other words, we could write that as x greater or equal to 1. And these two match together, they both check out, they're both okay, so they make sense. If this is x equals negative 5, then that wouldn't make sense, so that's okay. So that's our first solution. If x is greater than 1, we get x equal to 5. Let's check out the second scenario. So the second scenario is, what if the stuff inside the modulus sign is negative? So if x minus 1 is less than 0. Okay. In other words, if x is less than 1. Let's have a look. Now, what did we say in the previous slide? That if that stuff is negative inside the modulus sign, then we just times it by negative 1. So let's times it by negative 1. So negative x minus 1 equals 4. And then we just need to solve this equation. Okay, so x minus 1 equals times both sides by negative 1, negative 4, therefore x equals negative 3. So there's our second solution. So if x is less than 1, we get x equal to negative 3. Therefore, x is equal to 5 or negative 3. So I've got two solutions there. Now what you'll notice here, change my colour, what you'll notice is we've had x minus 1 equals 4, and we've also got x minus 1 equals negative 4. And so we've ended up with there. So a little shortcut here that you could do, and this is the second way to solve this, is you just go straight to, with the modulus, you go straight to x minus 1 equals plus or minus 4. And they're the two different situations that will happen there. So you can jump straight to that, go each two different situations, just add 1. So add 1 to negative 4, you get negative 3. Add 1 to positive 4, you get 5. So there's the two solutions there. Hope that makes sense. So that's the sort of second way to do it. The third way, so just redoing this example, what this actually means geometrically speaking is that this means the distance from some point x to the point 1, the distance is equal to 4. So what that means is it looks something like this. So here's our number line, there's 0. So it's saying the distance, so here's 1. The distance from some point x to the point 1 is 4. So which points are 4 away from positive 1? So if we go 4 jumps this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, we get to 5. Wow, 5. If we go 4 jumps the other way, that's not really even. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have negative 3. So there are your two solutions. So you can actually find that out geometrically. Just interpret this geometrically. The distance from x to the point 1 is equal to 4. And you'll see this, the distance to the point 1 is equal to 4 in both of these two situations. Fantastic. If it was just modulus of x equals 4, that means the distance of x from 0 is equal to 4. And of course the answer to that would be plus or minus 4. Okay, so that's just sort of an introduction into how modulus works. In the next video I'll do some tricky modulus questions. I'll do a hard one where you've got sort of double modulus signs, but I'll also do an inequality. See you in the next video.